Jenny here with Creekside Nursery in Dallas, North Carolina, and we have a new project that we have started, and we wanted to show that project to you so you can kind of walk along with us and see how we do it and to get ideas for your space at your home. The area that we're working with is right along our driveway. It's kind of the entrance into our house, and we have been in our house for 15 years now, and this area has always been kind of a, I would say, neglected area, but it's not been the top priority, and we are ready to make this bed a real showpiece entrance into our house. So this particular area, it is on a slope. It gets a lot of shade in the morning, and in North Carolina, especially in the summer, we can handle that. We have shade here till about 1 o'clock, but then it gets that late, all day, afternoon, intense sun in the afternoon. So this is why it's become kind of a problem. It's on a slope, the ground was not very good. It's this good old North Carolina red clay, dry, and then you get the intense heat with it. So what we are going to do, this is going to be a shrub and an annual bed, and we want to chock it full of color that will have interest season long. So we're just going to walk through it right quick and talk about what we're doing. So you can see that it is along the woods, and Jerry started to clear out the woods, and if you are from the South, North Carolina, you are very familiar with yellow jackets, and yellow jackets are just a lovely little bug that likes to nest in the ground. And at this time of year in July, you know you've got to be very careful when you're messing and disturbing ground. Well, of course, he came into contact with the yellow jacket's nest as he was clearing out the woods, because we want to thin out the underbrush to have the trees just to be a real highlight. So right now that part of the project is going to be on hold. We will come back to it in the fall once we have a good hard freeze, because those yellow jackets are proving to be very pesky to get rid of. So no, in the background we're going to thin out the underbrush of the trees so the trees can be really highlighted. Along the back of the bed we're going to have our shrubs. And because this does get such intense heat and it is not the ideal soil, we are putting irrigation in this bed. And we already have the feeder hose has already been hooked up, and what we're going to be using is a 1/2 inch black pipe that is just a solid black pipe. So you would consider this like a feeder hose, and then we will go along to each shrub and put an emitter on each shrub. So we're specifically assigning water to each shrub so that we're not wasting water in that area, and each shrub is sure to get water. So this hose will run the length of that back bed, and then we will run an emitter to each of those beds, to each of those shrubs. Then in the front, this is where we're going to chock it full of annual color, annual grasses, just lots of flowers, lots of great interest that you can see, because we have a big space here and we need a lot of flower power. So for that irrigation, we're going to use this brown drip tube. And what's fantastic about this drip tube is that we don't have to assign an emitter to each plant. Every 18 inches you come along and there is an emitter right here, and so this will drip water into the ground where all of these annuals are going to be, and we're going to lay this out in a grid pattern so that each of those annuals is ensured to get lots of water. So we will show that part of the project to you in a little bit as we get that done. So we're going to definitely have irrigation in this bed, because that's going to be what's going to really ensure that these plants thrive all summer long in this intense southern heat that we have. Once we get the shrubs in, the annuals in, with all the irrigation, we're going to finish this bed with a nice thick layer of hardwood mulch. We are not big fans of using landscape fabric. There surely are cases where it is appropriate and where we do use it, but it is rare. Most people want to use landscape fabric in the hopes that it's going to eliminate weeds, that you're not going to have to be out here weeding your garden. And that may be true for the first month or so, but then after that, you are going to have some problems dealing with weeds, because weeds are an issue in gardens. No matter where you garden, what part of the country you garden in, if you're a master gardener, if you're just starting out, everybody has to deal with weeds. It's just a fact of gardening. The problem with the landscape fabric, especially in this type of situation, is that you put the fabric down and then we're going to put hardwood mulch on top of that. And over time, that mulch is going to decay and it's going to become compost. So then you've got fabric, then you've got compost. Well, what's going to love to grow there? Lots and lots of weeds. So you're just creating the seed bed for all of these weeds. We like not to use the landscape fabric. Our mulch, again, over time, it decomposes, it turns to compost. What do plants love? Plants love compost. It's food for them. So we're going to, over time, amend this soil that honestly is not so great right now. And it's going to have this rich compost. When we dig in here this time next year, we're going to find lots of great, big, fat, healthy worms. And that's one of the gardener's best things to find, is big old healthy worms in your garden. So as we continue to compost this, mulch this year after year, this soil is just going to get fantastic and it's just going to be healthy. So we really steer away from landscape fabric long term. It's not the best situation in cases like this. So we will not be using landscape fabric. So our next step is to go ahead and lay out the irrigation tubes, and then we can start planting all of the annuals and any of the shrubs that we have remaining. So stay tuned and we'll show you that in just a minute. We are ready to start putting some plants in the ground. I want to explain to you what you just saw in that video clip. What we did is we went ahead and got our holes dug. I am a big proponent of working smarter, not harder. So obviously we have a nursery, we do landscaping, so we are blessed to have some equipment to help us dig holes. So that is why you saw Jerry using the Bobcat to go ahead and dig our holes for all of our shrubs and the grasses. So that auger on the Bobcat is an 18-inch diameter bit. So that gave us great consistent holes for our shrub. Now I've told you before when we started this that we are in North Carolina. It is July and it is hot. So Jerry behind me we've got the holes dug, and he is taking a bucket and he is filling each hole with water, because when we were digging that dirt he was with the Bobcat, it is dry dirt. And yes, we're going to have this on irrigation, but we want to give those plants a little bit of a head start, the irrigation a head start, so it's not having to work so hard to saturate the soil that's around it. So this works whether you're doing a big landscape or just a small area. It's a great tip we got from a farmer friend of ours. He always, when he's planting his tomato plants, he gets a scoop of water, fills up the hole, and then he puts the plant in. So Jerry's going to saturate each one of these holes, then we're going to start planting. Okay, stay tuned. We have got the shrubs in the ground. The holes have been saturated with water, so that is great because you can probably tell it is hotter than blue blazes out here. We're dying, but the plants are going to be happy. So what Jerry is doing behind me is he is running this small, thin tube to each one of the shrubs. It's connected to that black feeder hose that we showed you earlier. The emitters that we have it from the black hose to the white hose is at a rate of 1 gallon of water per hour. So when we run this, not that we're going to run it for an hour, but that's a good flow of water for these shrubs. So we will run that every day, maybe a couple of times a day, just depending on what the weather does with us. We're supposed to get some rain next week, so we'll see what happens. But this is the tube, and it's great because we have it on a big spool and you can cut it to length. So you can see in the picture behind us in the bed, some of them are shorter, some of them are longer. We did not put anything on the end of the drip tape, so it'll just go straight and it's going right to the roots of the shrubs, so they will stay nice and happy and hydrated. Hey everybody, all right, the job is complete and the bed is done. It looks fantastic. If you remember what this space looked like when we first started the project, it was pretty nasty. It was just a barren piece of land that wasn't attractive, and if you ask me, it was pretty ugly. But no more, it looks fantastic. We're gonna walk through and talk about the plants that we decided to put in here, kind of our thinking behind why we decided to put certain plants in certain spaces, and just kind of review the whole project as a whole. So if you will remember, this bed is right beside of our driveway when you come into our house, and we wanted to really dress it up, make it look nice, and to have interest year round. And I think we've really accomplished that goal. So in the back, we have Proven Winners Brandywine Viburnum. These are fantastic shrubs to put in the back of the bed because they will ultimately get to be about a 6 foot by 6 foot size. They are deciduous, so that they will lose their leaves during the winter time, but the other 3 seasons, they are gorgeous. They come out with these nice dark green leafy leaves. They come out with these dark glossy green leaves, and then in the spring they do these really pretty little white blooms. But what I really love about these guys is that in the fall, late summer into fall, they're going to produce lots of little blue berries. Not blueberry, but a blue berry. I am a huge bird lover, and these plants produce those little berries that the birds will love. So you've got something for your birds. You've also got in the fall, those leaves are going to turn a really pretty red. So just imagine flaming red leaves back there against the backdrop of this bed. So really pretty. So we have several of those all the way across the back of the bed. Now, anchored on each side of each end of the bed, we have the golden hinoki false cypress. This is a gorgeous evergreen shrub. So it is an evergreen. It's that great limey green color, and ultimately at its mature size, it's going to be like an 8 by 10 tall and wide shrub. So it's really going to make a great impact. Again, for my fellow bird lovers out there, this is going to be a perfect place for birds to take safety and retreat. They can go in there from any predators. They can build their nest. So this is a great addition, again, if you're looking to attract some birds. But it's going to have great color year round. They're very hardy. They have done really well. They like the full sun, just like all the plants in this bed. Then the next layer we have 3 layers of Encore azaleas, and we went with Autumn Twist. Autumn Twist is a great, huge bloom on it. I mean, synonymous with the South, right, is azaleas. Azaleas are all throughout the South. We love them here in North Carolina, and they are gorgeous. Great thing about Encores, they're not going to be just a spring bloomer, but we will also get a second flush of blooms later on in the season. The Autumn Twist is a pink, lighter pink with a dark pink vein in it. It's just a really, really pretty bloom, and it's a nice big size that we like. So it's going to really make a big impact. On each side of the Autumn Twist, we decided to go with some nice dark foliage with Proven Winners, the Graceful Grasses. This is the purple fountain grass. And guys, again, here in the South, you will see them all over the place because they're just fantastic grasses. They have those beautiful plumes on them, that deep, dark purple foliage. And we did them in 3. So we did a group of 3, kind of in a triangle, because we wanted them to just get nice and big and to make a really big impact. Again, we are planting this. We did plant this in July. So the plants are not going to probably reach their full mature height as if we had planted it back in April. So we added a really kind of a lot of oomph to this bed. Then next we have the Gomphrena, the True Full of Pink by Proven Winners. This is a new one. It is brand new on the market this year. It is, if you're looking for a butterfly magnet, oh my word. When we were planting this, I could not keep the butterflies off of this plant to get it in the ground. It's that great pink ball. It's like a bubblegum type blooms on it. It's really attractive. It loves the sun. It's nice and drought tolerant once it gets established. So we did mass plantings of the Gomphrena in 2 different sections. We planted these Gompphrenas closer together than we would have, again, if we had planted this in April. Because it's in July, they're not going to have quite enough time to get their mature height. So we really jam-packed them in there to get a big wow factor. So just remember that it depends on when you're planting your beds or your pots, how long do your plants have to mature. If you're planting early in the season, you're going to probably want to give them a little bit of room to grow. If you're planting later in the season, or you want them to look full right now, you're going to plant them closer together. So we definitely went on the closer together side with that Gomphrena. Another great star of the show is the 3 Crepe Myrtles. Now, you may be thinking, Jenny, why are you putting 3 Crepe Myrtles in this bed? But it's different. These are not crepe myrtle trees. These are miniature crepe myrtle bushes. They are gorgeous. This cherry mocha, they only get to be about the 3 foot by 3 foot. Here in North Carolina, it may get a little bit bigger, and that's okay, but we put those 3 of them smack dab in the middle of the bed. They are this gorgeous, gorgeous red color that has a nice deep dark foliage on it. It's almost like towards a black end of the leaves, nice and dark green, dark glossy black leaves, and then that flaming red bloom on it. So you're going to have at this time, July and August, a lot of color right there from those 3 cherry mocha crepe myrtles. Really great. Then what we did to give it a lot of oomph, a lot of wow factor, is we lined this whole bed with a Supertunia Bordeaux. Supertunia Bordeaux, Supertunias love to go in the ground. So remember that, Supertunias go in the ground. Petunias, they like to go in the ground. They do really well and they get really well established and they will just bloom nonstop. So we planted, these were gallon-sized containers that we did the whole entire length of the bed to really give it a big factor, like a wow factor from a great distance. Because here we are on 8.5 acres, and so we have a lot of big open space. So with our landscape like in this, we need to have a big wow factor. So to be completely 100% transparent, I want you to know, because if you've watched this video, you know that when we were planting this, it was hot. It was really hot. Then after we finished the bed, it got even hotter for like 2 weeks. And this bed, it struggled a bit. We have it on drip irrigation, like we showed you in the video, all throughout the bed. And so it does have water, but still when it's a heat index of over 100, these plants are going to kind of struggle. They have made it through. They're happy. They are nice and perky. You can see that they are not limpy or wilted at all. So there has been a couple of weeks where we finished actually planting until this time right now, because I wanted it to be a nice, pretty bed for you to see. Also, these Bordeaux and the Gomphrena, all of this, if you wait for another month, 2 months in September, it is going to just be take off. You're going to have blooms all over the place because temperatures are going to cool down a little bit. We continue to fertilize it, and it's just going to put out tons and tons of blooms. So don't be afraid. As long as you can go out there and take care of it and water it, as long as you're vigilant about taking care of your plants, you can plant even in the middle of the summer. Your plants will survive as long as you pay attention to what they need and give them what they need, and then you will get months and months of enjoyment out of them. So we are really excited with how this bed has turned out. We can't wait to see how it progresses. We will show you down below, or we'll do another video to show you how this bed matures and how it looks in come September when it's nice and full. But this bed has been a great project. Next year, who knows what kind of annuals we'll put in there. That's the fun and the joy of gardening, is when you have your foundation pieces, those are the same, you get some consistency there, but then the sky is the limit with our creativity on what we want to do next year with the annuals. So, hope you have enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe to our channel, and we are so glad that you are gardening with Creekside. Bye guys, see you next time.